Hey, Bannon, it's you.
That's me, my dumb face. My super dumb, tired face.
And we're off to rescue John. He's been stuffed into a van and kidnapped. Uh, which is, you know, pretty on brand for this universe.
While we're
That
actually in this, Fizzy Fuzz is a thing I have put into every like little comic and whatever I've ever worked on. Like ever since I was like a kid making comic books, every single storyline had Fizzy Fuzz in it. So that's something from like my childhood.
oh, huh.
The deep lore.
I This is the only place I know Fizzy Fuzz from. I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't read my Caveman Carmen comics that I drew when I was 8 years old? Boo. Boo. As you saw there, big explosion. That was another, like, we didn't really have breakables in the first game. I tried to put them in, but it was such a hassle. But we had a team of kind of 3 people just working on levels. And 2 of those guys tackled all the breakables and all this kind of like platforming and moving stuff, like all the more intricate stuff in the game. And then the VFX team just went to town. Like even that, like we didn't have to make a soda on the ground and just like that splatters when you walk over it. But might as end the trash here. Oh, you missed the trash.
Well, there's the trash. We're walking right past it.
Yes, indeed we are. Missing stuff already. Pro gamers over here.
But we don't have the money for the dojo right now, so.
So the cars that you're seeing right now, so we saw that pink kind of like Scion XB and then this old Volvo station wagon over here, the green one. If you come back into these levels, you'll see that like people are coming and going. So these might not be here, they might be other cars. That was just part of the living world kind of thing.
Ah. See, it's been a while, so I actually didn't remember that. But now that you're mentioning it, I think I did. I think I did take note of it when I was on my way through. Why did a giant platter of roast chicken come out of a soda machine?
I was waiting for that. It is not roast chicken. It is not roast beef. That is a Cornish hen. It is a classic River City ransom item that you could buy.
Oh, what's the difference?
A Cornish hen is a like a almost like a quail.
Oh, okay.
The real question is, how many quarters does it cost?
Many quarters. There's inflation since the late '80s, early '90s. That's why like discount sushi. I think sushi in there will cost you like still like $15.
Oh wow!
Yeah, one thing I know you guys did for the sequel particularly was mention the stat buffs in every shop you go into.
Mention the
People
what?
were playing the stat buffs you get for the
Yeah,
food you eat because people were not understanding that you got the stat buffs from the first game.
yeah. That was a holdover from the original River City Ransom, where you didn't have a clue what any of the items did. So, and I was like, we don't have to be that precious about everything from the very first game. Games have updated since the '80s, '90s, so we can too.
It also lets you know which ones you've already eaten and which ones you haven't.
Yeah,
I think the original game might have had check marks, although that might have been a mod I was playing with at the time. I'm not sure.
definitely a mod. They were just like, yeah, you can eat 10 of these, and it doesn't like. But that was the thing, is every time you ate something, it wasn't just one upgrade. You could spend your money on like the same item and get the same stat boost over and over.
Huh.
That is Paul over there, the boxer. Paul is from River City Ransom Underground, and little backstory about Paul. Paul is a real person. I just crashed at his place for GDC a couple of weeks ago, or literally, I think like 2 weeks ago. Paul was trying to help me program the first River City Ransom game, the River City Ransom Underground game, before it became an actual like project. I was just trying to make it like a fan game, just starring my friends. So Paul is an actual real life person.
Huh.
Nice.
Neat. The boxing gloves with the hearts on the fist. That's I don't know. That slightly terrifies me for some reason.
So also, this is a subtle thing. This was us testing out slopes and ramps. So the staircase here, we didn't have any of that stuff in the first game. This was us testing the limits of like I was saying, the Z-axis brawler stuff is just weird in general when it's a 2D image. So this was us testing, can we even do ramps and slopes and like angles like this? It was not fun.
Ramps and slopes in a 2D space is one of those really fiddly things.
Yeah.
I think I played just as many games that mess it up as games that get it right.
And that's the thing is like these games, like this is a good example right here. Like you go behind stuff, you can interact like with a ceiling above you. No other beat 'em up does this kind of stuff for good reason because it's a pain in the ass. Like it's not fun. And there's a lot of collision and stuff that you can run into. You can wall jump off this, but you'll bump your head on the ceiling. So it's like, well, what happens if I knock somebody up? Do they hit the ceiling? Like how do we work with the physics of that? So there's a lot of stuff to where like Final Fight, Streets of Rage 4, they keep the background just flat. Like you can't interact with that stuff. You're just on a flat plane and that's all you do. But even like right here, like those benches on the ground, those are breakable, but they also have like the angled pieces that have to be cut out. So the player can be standing on the left side of that bench that's angled and be behind it, but once they go in front of it, they sort in front of it. There's just a lot of nonsense that goes into making this work. So, yeah.
I can imagine.
So that's why just if you're hey, first time developers out there want to make a beat 'em up game, don't do this. Just keep it flat.
Although in this case the gameplay result is pretty nice. There are a few areas where like I found myself having to adjust to quite how many like obstacles there were in the way of the fight. But yeah. I got a handle on it relatively quick.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you get used to, but that when it's done well, really kind of improves that immersion and.
So right now, what you're seeing right there, where you're see-through, like you could see yourself behind that stuff, that is just a visual trick. There's no coding in that at all. So that walkway that's above you is actually flat on the ground. It's part of the background. Then we have a 50% transparent version that's in the foreground that's on top of that. So you'll see if they walk behind the kiosk over here, the kiosks are just flat on the ground itself. Like it's connected to that wall and everything, but there is a transparent version floating above it that makes it to where it's like, well, have the players sort behind that, but on top of the flat version that's on the ground, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it does.
That is actually not how I would have guessed you'd do that.
Yeah, There's no programming. It's just sort this here. See right there, it's just, it looks like it's on, it's its own 3D object, but it's just a flat thing with 3D collision and just two different layers. So it was a very fast way for a dummy like me to even put this stuff into the backgrounds, because I did help out with some of the backgrounds.
That's actually really neat.
Yeah, one of those clever tricks.
Yeah. And some of the, like, even the backgrounds like here, like you could see I put in a little Metal Gear reference at the top there in the t-shirts.
Oh, I didn't even see that before.
Lots put the little Kunio-kun guy up there and the stamina thing. So lots of dumb stuff.
It's almost like a Where's Waldo trying to find all the hidden details. Rewatching all this.
And that's the thing is I didn't do all, like this is, I think this is, I think when Neela did this, she's amazing.
Kyoko, what are you doing?
She's
always trying to figure out how the map works and what the settings are.
She was calling her mom. She's worried about her. She's all alone.
You guys just unintentionally had a really in-character moment there. Kyoko just gets distracted by her phone. Misako can't snap her out of it, and she just gets punched.
Yeah. Well, we're sending all those recruits to Kyoko's mom.
the guy that just got defeated with the kind of like construction overalls or like the janitor overalls, whatever. That is Chin from Double Dragon, the guy with the nunchucks.
Oh.
So there are a lot of Double Dragon references in this, and that is also Arc System Works just being generous and going like, yeah, you can add those guys in there. So that's why you see like a Bobo. So that's Chin from the Double Dragon games. So he will bust out his nunchucks from. He used to have like the purple hair that like covered his eyes. So.
I imagine the first game being as much of a success as it was at the time. Helped get some cred with Arc System Works to get a little bit more of that stuff in here.
Yeah, because like I said, they're really big on the lore, and even getting a Bobo in there took some convincing because they're like, well, Double Dragon is actually set in a post-apocalyptic future, so Bobo wouldn't be around by now. So I was like, can I keep him underground to where like nobody really noticed he was around? So that's why you fight him in the sewers, kind of.
Ah. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh.
So here's a good example right there. The physics kind of, I don't know if you saw Misako kind of like got launched because she got launched upwards, hit a corner of the wall, and then also hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
So it kind of like spit her out because it's like, I don't know what to do with her.
Pinball physics.
So once again, developers, just make your beat 'em up flat. It's much easier. Then you could do all this nonsense later.
Yeah, do it on the second game. 'Cause the sequel is always better.
Two Sport, that's a dumb 90s rap reference for me.
So,
yeah.
I made the arguable mistake of actually starting my first new game as Kunio and Ricky instead of the girls. So I was treated to the wonderful opening hour of Kunio and Ricky saying all of Misako and Kyoko's lines to each other. And it was kind of hilarious seeing Ricky emote quite so much. Because like his character design screams stoic badass, so you'd expect him to not talk so much.
Yeah, and that just came down to the fact that it's like we only had so much we had so much budget for like translation and localization and all that stuff, and we have to do this. All this dialogue has to be in what we call EFIGs, English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish. And then that doesn't even cover the Korean, Chinese simplified, and Japanese as well. So Arc does help with the Asian dialogue. But also the fact that this was the first time also that we had the choice between English and Japanese VO, which was fantastic. And it's very bizarre hearing all the different versions of, like even Japanese Bannon. Like, what does Japanese Bannon sound like?
Man.
Video games are weird.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why that would be a pretty big development hurdle, actually. Because this game has not just Misako, Kyoko, Kunio, and Ricky, but also oh god, their names are escaping me.
Pruvy and Marion.
Yeah, Pruvy is the one I was trying to remember, because she originates from Underground, doesn't she?
And real life as well. That's another friend of mine.
Oh,
cool.
So all the playable characters in Underground are people that I know. And there's more dumb reference that I put in Evil Cabin and something.
Yeah, I love the something poster there.
So that's me just being bored and like drawing stuff in the backgrounds.
Those eyebrows.
Did you have to waggle your eyebrows twice, dude? You're trying really hard here, but it's just backfiring. So, wait. It just hit me. Like, okay, this suave Yakuza-looking guy, his grand master plan was to become a school teacher so he could expel some children.
Yeah.
And he didn't even change his clothes for this. Okay, yeah, that scans. That sounds logical.
Well, it's not. He's not becoming a teacher so he can expel some students. These are the students that ruined the Sabuko or the Sabu namesake.
I know. It's just a really, really silly plan. Like, catch them on their way out of school, skip the weird runaround.
I feel like it's even they're addressing right now, in character why his plan is questionable.
Yeah, they don't really care. They got to spend. Oh, and that was also the in-game reasoning for how did they lose all their moves. It's that Metroid thing where it's like Samus lost all her equipment again. She's got to go get it, even though she had a ton of stuff. So this was they get expelled and they're out of practice because they spent 2 months just playing Vampire Puncher on the couch. So that's how they lost all their moves.
So really, it's in character for me to not know the controls at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. And there's dialogue that you guys miss because you guys didn't try to go to the school, and they even talk about like, hey, do your like dragon kick move, and she's like, I don't know how to do that anymore. So there's like hidden dialogue if you go down like specific paths, which it's the whole Charlie from It's Always Sunny, like the whole like thing with all the conspiracy and like lines reaching this way and that way, and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like his crazy board.
Yeah.
I had to draw a map of if player goes this way, then do this, but if player has the ability to walk this way or like backtracks and goes this way, I had to like map out all that stuff. That took quite a long time.
Maybe you just teleported right into me.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys ever do the full Nelson punches?
I'm not sure if I do.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I have a horrible memory for what fighting moves correspond to what fighting move names. What's a full Nelson again?
A full Nelson is the bully thing that you could do in real life where you hold somebody by their arms from behind them. So yeah, in this game, if they're dizzy and you hold them from behind, you lock their arms, and then if a friend comes up and taps that quick attack button, you punch them in the gut. And
yeah, we kind of did like a mini version of that just now.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
not the full extent. Yeah, this is a bad situation. For us.
Yeah, but we just got. I got comboed.
And the Mafia wins. The end. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh, eyebrow.
And it turns out this was all just the prelude to an actual regular Kunio-kun game.
So this also, to me, you fighting him, this is still what I consider kind of the tutorial. That was another thing I wanted players to be like, here's a special move already. You don't have to go buy one. Here's healing items and what they do. Like, he is actually teaching you, with him shooting like that, that's him teaching you to double tap up or down to dodge out of the way. Going like vertically on the, or not vertically, but just up and down on the Z axis. His moves, his combo is very slow. So I don't know if you guys ever figured this out. It shows it in the tutorial, but much like me and everybody else, we always just skip tutorial pop-ups. But if you are getting comboed by somebody, if you call in a recruit, they will take the hit for you, and you roll away to safety.
Gotcha.
So you'll see that when Ken does his combo, it's very slow.
Oh.
So yeah, everything he's doing is trying to teach the player, like, hey, now you can dash up and down, and don't die on me, come on.
I held this time to actually take a hit this time, so.
I was going to make a crack about how Ken was smart enough to both bring his own gun and to bring an army of people with other guns, even though, the threat he's facing is 2 high school girls. But, well, we're losing pretty badly here, so I guess he was correct to do that.
It is 2 high school girls that toppled a whole Yakuza empire, though, so.
Yeah.
with the grenades as well, that teaches you to tap the buttons to get up faster and roll away as well. So like I try to make sure that he did things that made the player like try to do their different moves. This was teaching players to use the run. So without just straight up saying like, now run, or now do this. There's spicy chili in the corner, for the love of God.
Yeah, no, future me is just yelling at myself like, can't you see the chili?
And yeah, I did do the sideboard voice, if you recognize that Arnold looking enemy from Double Dragon.
Oh, I finally grabbed it off screen.
Oh, thank God.
I like how when Ken does his panic shot like that, he's actually crying.
Oh yeah, he's terrified. That is actually called panic shot too. So he is just
is it?
straight up
Losing
his mind. Or
actually
panic
just, like-
fire, that's what it's called.
Oh, okay. I was close.
K-O-O-O-O-O.
I did record myself saying KO, and we did not put it in though.
Aw.
Because it sounded like the old Fatal Fury or like King of Fighters, like, okay, KO! It was like this whole like, I was like, yeah, probably. We'll just skip it. So doing the motion comics, these are done in-house as well. Priscilla actually does all these. Priscilla's the main artist for the game. She does all this on paper and pen. So this is all like, even in my office right now, I've got 2 of the pages from these motion comics that are the actual like physical paper and pen versions.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that. I thought it was like a program you guys use to make them all motion-y.
Oh, so it is that, but like the source file itself is like, she didn't do it digitally at all. Those are scanned from the actual paper versions.
Oh, that is neat.